y'all, it's time.
Come on. Let's go. Let's do it.
Rolling on the road
With the doc,
rolling on the road
with Dave,
rolling on the road.
with the doc.
100 shades of diversibility with Dave and Dr. Bertie.
All right. Yeah. Hey, that was nice.
Thank you so much for tuning in. You are rolling on the road with Dr. Kimberly. If you are watching on GRTV 25, today is Tuesday, March 19th, and we are celebrating Women's History Month. We are so excited to have as our guest Miss Ellen James. She is a Black woman wearing glasses. She has this big, beautiful smile. She has curly, salted gray hair, and she's wearing a jacket with a pretty blouse up underneath. I am your host, Dr. Kimberly, and you guys know my head is bald. I do have on my glasses today, so you can't, wait a minute, there you go. You can see my eyelashes. Of course, the glitter does match my leopard print dress that I have on today, and I have on a pair of gold earrings. And as always, I am wearing a smile with lipstick. So thank you so much for tuning in. Miss Ellen James, I'm going to try not to be giggly. There are just a few people that I do have what I call, I'm a fangirl of, and you are one of those people. She served on the Grand Rapids Community College Board. We used to call it JC. For many of those people who are in my era, we used to call it JC. And she served as on the Board of Trustees for over 25 years. She's a civil servant. She was the Grand Rapids Chief of Police. She was on the advisory committee. She was on the Grand Rapids Community College Fund. She's on the executive board for the NAACP. And we could probably spend until next week talking about all the things that she's been included in, been honored for, received awards for. But today, we here at Rolling on the Road want to say we honor you. I was enjoying the comments as I posted the flyer. They're like, oh my God, I know Miss Ellen. I know her from the community college. Oh, that's my friend. Oh my God, she's so nice. She's so sweet. It's just all of the wonderful accolades that I was reading across all of social media after I posted that you were going to be on the show. How awesome is that, Miss Ellen?
That is awesome. That is so awesome. And I am just so grateful for the love that I receive from this community. It is unbelievable. It actually is. You say, I always grew up knowing that when you give, you receive more in return. And I am truly a witness to that. Every place I go, I run into people that said, hello, how are you? I was in the grocery store yesterday, and a lady came up to me. She said, you're Ellen James. And I said, yes. And she said, we used to work together at City Hall. And literally, I couldn't get away from this lady. She wanted to talk. She was, she wanted to find out how things have been going. And I'm a talker and she's a talker. So I spent about an hour in the grocery store yesterday just having a conversation. But I find that so much when I'm in the community and at places. So I'm just truly blessed.
I have the neatest story. You say that, and someone posted about you that you could be in the grocery store and they could call you and you would stop in the middle of the grocery store and help a student get into a class that they couldn't get into. So for you to say that you were in the grocery store, and that was one of the comments that I read about you, is that no matter where she is, she's going to stop and she's going to help you. So here we go.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that.
You are 8 years into your retirement, and we know that 8 is a new beginning. And I hear that you just turned 81
years old.
And I would have to say years young, because when I was trying to catch up with you, you were, you know what? I got to catch up with you later. And whatever it is that you're asking me, I'll do for you. Don't worry about it. But I'm on my way to a cruise. So don't call, don't text. I'm just going to enjoy myself.
Well, that's one of the things I think you learn that I have tried to learn to, even though I'm busy most of the time, I'm really trying to learn at my age still how to help take care of me. So I do enjoy doing fun things like cruises.
Mhm.
I am going on one in October. I'm going to Australia, and I'm excited about that. It's a long trip, but I'm kind of getting myself prepared for it, and so it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
We want to say hello to Shayna. Thank you so much for tuning in, Shayna. She is all the way in Bel Air, Maryland. And,
Oh
and
wow!
she says hello. She is like one of our top viewers. In fact,
Okay, hi
I,
Shayna, how are you?
she said, yes, Miss Ellen, self-love is the best love.
Oh, okay, okay, all right.
Um, I think that, oh, well, hello, Mr. Clee Jackson. Mr. Clee Jackson is watching. Thank you, sir, for tuning in on today and for helping my Miss Ellen. The Bible says in the book of Titus that the older women are to teach the younger women. And this being Women's History Month, what would you say to us young women? I know one of the first things that I did hear you say is about self-care, that's important.
I'm sorry, Kim, I didn't understand you.
I said, this being Women's History Month, and I said, and the Bible says that the older women are to train the younger women. And so we already gleaned one thing from you, and that was to make sure that we take care of ourselves. Self-care was number one. Can you give us two other things that you would pass on to us?
Certainly, I would pass on to you to follow your dreams. When I say follow your dreams, it's much easier, I think, in some ways, for young women to do some of the things that they want to do in life. I want to give you an example of my dad. I'm the only child, and I was, a girl, and my dad never told me that there were things that I couldn't do. Now, I will be honest with you. I don't know how to fix a tire. I don't know how to do any of that. I don't know how to do electrical work. But he always told me to speak up for for myself and to speak up for others. So that's one of the things that I would pass on to our younger women. I will say, I'm sorry.
I said it's to be an advocate for yourself and others.
Yes, absolutely. To be an advocate for myself and for to help other young women. One of the things that I've always been very proud of is the fact that I have had an opportunity to be involved in an awful lot of things and sit on a lot of boards and meet a lot of people. It's always been important to me to make sure that I brought somebody with me. So I would say, bring once you're there at the table, then bring someone with you. Don't be content to sit there by yourself. And that has always been so very important to me. When I served on community colleges board, I made sure that there was another person of color. And there were, I worked hard to get people of color to try to run for the board, but sometimes it's very hard to get people because sometimes it's a commitment. Sometimes they feel that they don't have the time. So there are a variety of reasons, but always remember, if you're at the table, then you want somebody else at the table that looks just like you. It does make a difference. It does make a difference. I guess the other thing that I would say to young women is that be happy in your life. Enjoy things in your life. Go and do things in your life. A happy person can make a lot of other things happen. So, and those are the things that come to mind right now.
And they
Being,
are so simple. I love
yes,
it.
they are.
You
Yes, they
didn't
are. Yes, they are. And
just
and
simple things.
be involved. I got involved in so many things because of, say, somebody would call and say, well, I remember an organization that I'm a founding member of, Coalition for Representative Government. We came together because there was a need for persons of color to be on our city commission, on our school boards,
Mhm.
and a bunch of us got together, and I called a meeting and brought some people together, and we formed a committee, and we were able to get people, persons of color, elected to our school boards, to our city commission, to other important committees in Grand Rapids. But we came together. We put our differences aside. It was mostly men. They put their differences aside, and we were able to accomplish a lot of things. So again, it's important to be a part of what is going on, but you don't necessarily have to be the leader. You can just be a person that's a participant with the group. And I guess another thing that you only asked me for a couple, Kim, but let me. I'm rolling here. I'm rolling here.
Yes.
I think it's also important that we work together.
Mhm.
There are a lot of things that are going on in our community right now, and it's not it's sometimes it's not us in unity. It's us. We're there, but we're kind of working independently. I would hope that we come together more in terms of things that we want to happen in our city, because there is nothing, absolutely nothing, that we cannot accomplish if we work together in getting it done.
I agree. Clee Jackson says, "We love you, Queen James." Um, Jonathan Abney Austin is watching. Dr. Sandra White is watching. We just got some likes and some hearts. And Shana says, "Great wisdom. Thank you."
Oh, wow. Thank you guys so much. I love you.
It is now 4:15. We want to say thank you so much for tuning in to Rolling on the Road with Dr. Kimberly and Dave. If you are watching on GRTV, we are live, but today is Tuesday, March 19th, and it is Women's History Month. And if you want to watch it and you're watching now and you didn't catch it all, you can always go over to YouTube and watch the full video at 100 Shades of Diversibility. And if you are looking for it on GRTV, we come on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. And when I get my cheat sheet with the times, I'll come back with the times. But today, our guest is Miss Ellen James, who is, and I have to say this again, she is 81 years young. And she just told us earlier in the first 15 minutes of segment is that she's going to Australia. Is that what you said?
Yes, ma'am.
In October. And you just not letting no grass grow up underneath your feet. And I love it. And what I hear from you as you're talking is that you're not afraid to move and to do, because one of the things that I always like to say that if it's not right for me, I need to figure out a way to make it right for someone else behind me. And
Absolutely.
and that's what I see, and what I've always seen you do is, in fact, there's a picture that I have. Look, my guy is not here today, so I can't put the picture up, but I have to, when I get it, I will post it on my page and all the other outlets so that you can see this picture of this greatness. And I am the baby of the bunch. It was Helen Harp, it was you, it was Bishop Robert Dean, and
Mhm.
Bev Drake
Oh.
is in the picture. And then there's little old me sitting right in the center, and you guys are all around me. And I could just feel all of the wisdom, the knowledge just oozing all on my little bald head, and just kind of infiltrating and getting all in there. And when I looked at those who were around the room, because you could bring others, that I was in the room because somebody else brought me to the table. And so I appreciate that. And I have been grateful that through this platform of Rolling on the Road, that I have been able to bring others to the table as well.
Thank,
It's just
thank you
been,
so much. Thank you so much, Kim. I think I do have a copy of that picture. I'm not sure. I have to look back in my phone, but I think you sent me a copy of that picture.
I did at one point, I did.
Okay, that is so marvelous. That is wonderful. And the work that you're doing in our community is just tremendous. Um, I mention you often, and I'll say, do you know Dr. Kimberly? And they'll say, no, I'm not sure. And then I'll say the lady, I said, this is how I say it, Kim. I'll
Mhm.
say, the lady with the bald head. Oh, yes, I know her. I've seen her on the TV. I've seen her in ads and things like that. So you're doing a great service in our community. And one of the other things that I think is important also is that we let our younger people know how much we appreciate what they're doing. And
Mhm.
I also try to do that as often as say, hey, you're doing a great job. I admire what you're doing. Keep up the good work. Keep up the good work. So I share that with you today, and I've shared it with you before, Kim. I appreciate you in our community, and not just in our community, but around our state as well.
Thank you. It was, Pastor announced it, just the opportunity to be able to bring him in front of the governor and lieutenant governor. So
Mhm.
that was, I feel like that's what we can do, or that's what we need to do. We should do, and
Absolutely.
not just say, oh, I have the ability to get into places and have those
Mhm.
conversations,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
we have a great work that's going on at the rest. And I felt like both of them really need to know, what's happening in our state, especially on the west side of the state. Seems like
Mhm.
there's love over there with that Detroit. Like, we got things going on over here. We got stuff.
Absolutely,
We
absolutely.
have a lot of things going on.
Mhm.
So it is absolutely following the lead that you and others have set in front of me to say, you know what? When I got the phone call, they're like, hey, Dr. Kimberly, the governor, lieutenant governor's come in and, we would like for you to be there. And I'm like, can I bring a guest? They're like, sure. Who'd you like to bring? And I said, they were like, oh, absolutely. And so following, your lead, following that pattern, uh, just, you only get more when you give more.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Uh,
And
I,
and I'm certainly a witness to that. It's just organizations that I've been a part of or were a part of years ago. Um, I'm receiving accolades at this point, of being a founding member. And I'm thinking, gosh, a founding member, a founding member, a founding member. But it feels good. It feels good,
yes.
to know that you help plant a seed, and you watch that seed grow. And then you see it blossom into something, you see it blossom into a beautiful flower. And so
Mhm.
that is so rewarding in life. It is so very, very rewarding.
Absolutely. We want to say hello to Rita Ophili. She is watching all the way in Nigeria. So thank you so much, Rita, for tuning in today. I appreciate you. She's been on the show.
Okay,
Great, great, great conversation. She's definitely a major advocate, and we've been working together to try to improve um, the life for Black disabled Nigerians. So she runs a lot of things past me, and we have great, deep conversations. And so I'm excited, and we're trying to see about getting her to come to the States. And so,
wonderful, wonderful.
you know, and what I love about this platform is that it has taken me all over, not just the United States, but all over the country. And just the people that I've had the opportunity to meet. I don't necessarily get to travel the same way that you do, but I do try to get, the traveling in, because everywhere is not accessible, for me to be able to go. So I do love the fact that we can pull this up, and it's like she's here sitting in, what is it? This is my dining room, kind of dining room kitchen area. And we can still get things done. And I love how we're able to share ideas all over the country. How does that make you feel that you started a lot of these organizations and now you don't meet in houses or homes or office buildings, but now you have this wonderful thing called the World Wide Web, and you can go anywhere in the world and have a conversation with anybody and have a meeting?
Well, I'm still somewhat illiterate in terms of my technology, I will have to admit. I still need some assistance with it. So I'm not as proficient as I would like to be, but I have all of the equipment at home. And I get lost with it sometimes, but I'm struggling, but I'm getting a little better. So, but there are things that I know how to do, and I do those things. So, but I'm still learning.
She responds to my text messages most of the time, and if she doesn't get a chance to respond to it,
I know how to do that. I know how to do that. But sometimes I get lost on my computer, and like I said, I think I have the state of the art. I think I do, but I don't always know how to use the state of the art.
That's understandable. But you want to know what's the most important out of all of it is that you know how to ask for help.
Absolutely. Now that's another key thing that I want to emphasize. I am not afraid to ask for help. I am not afraid to ask for help. I will call somebody and say, "Can you help me?" And I think that's a plus in life. I'm not going to sit back and wait until everything goes down and then says, "Oh gosh, I should have called for help." I would call for help right away. I'll call my friends if I'm going to the doctor, and this is just a simple thing. If I'm going to the doctor, I'll call my friends and say, "Gosh, can I get a ride?" If the weather's bad, I'll call and say, "Can I get a ride to my doctor's, or can I get a ride to a meeting?" And that's helpful for me, because a lot of things I probably wouldn't get a chance to go to if I didn't ask up. And I revert back to my dad again. The lessons that I learned from my dad and my mom are things that I carry today at 81 years old. They taught me the value of being I would say a good person. Help other people, not being afraid to speak up, not being afraid to share your ideas, and that has worked so well for me. It really, really has.
Then your dad and my dad must have been friends, because my dad taught me the same thing.
Oh, and Kim, I didn't realize until just recently that I knew your father, but I didn't know that was your father until just very recently. And he was a wonderful, wonderful man in our community, and did so many things. As a matter of fact, I knew your aunt when I was a kid. Peggy. I knew Peggy when I was a kid, and didn't know that until you and I started talking. So, this, as the saying goes, we go way back.
Oh yeah. And I have watched all the way back to when Cedric Ward was a part of JC. That's when I knew it as JC. And when they started having a conversation about even having the Giants Awards.
Yes.
Him and Pat Pulliam. And I remember those conversations and just to see how it's come, full circle. And
It has indeed.
it doesn't
It,
hurt to ask.
it has indeed. And it's something that started um, 42 years. I think it's 42 years now. And it's still something that's still alive. So it speaks well for Cedric Ward and for Dr. Pulliam.
Yeah.
And I did have an opportunity to speak with Dr. Pulliam several days ago. And she's doing well. She's doing well. She's doing well.
I want to catch up to her.
Okay. She is doing well.
And definitely got an opportunity to spend time at her feet as well. There are some pluses when your mother decides to go back to school in her some things, with two kids. And she started at the very bottom by going to JC.
Fantastic.
And to meet when everybody was there, it was Pat Pulliam, Cedric Ward, Dwayne Davis, when all those folks were there and teaching, and when there was Kent Cap and
yes, the Tardys,
yes.
Mr. Tardy, Mr. Ray Tardy,
and then the
Miss
rap.
Billy Farnes. Do you remember Miss Billy Farnes?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And those are the people that were my models, or my they were my models in the community. I looked at what they were doing, and I knew I wanted to grow up and be like them. I did. I wanted to do some of the things that they were doing. Miss Ella Sims.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Her and my grandmother were best friends.
Yes.
And just to sit and listen to those conversations and them at church, telling me things to do and sitting, underneath them at their feet. It's
yes. And there was such value. There was such value in that, and just learning from their perspective and the things that they had gone through. It was just invaluable. I tell you, one of the other things that I found that was just very invaluable to me are the various boards that I sat on. I learned so much from those boards and how they did things. And there were things that I was able to bring back to another table to say, okay, these are some things that we might want to do. So that was always very helpful. And some of those people, I mean, they're older. They were older than me at the time, and they're still older than me. But they're people that I can continually call upon to pick up the phone and say, hey, this is going on. Can I, interest you in, talking to so and so, or that connecting. That was very important. It was hooking up from one community to another community that we don't always get an opportunity to interact with.
And that's the part that I love. And right there, we'll stop and we'll say it is now 28 minutes after the hour. And if you are watching on GRTV, today is Tuesday, March 19th. Can you guys believe it? We're just a few months away from our 4th year anniversary of Rolling on the Road. We have been on air as a show for 4 years come May. So we're really excited. Today, our guest is Miss Ellen James, who is a civil servant to the West Michigan community. We have just been gleaning from her, and what an opportunity it is for all of us across the United States and in even other countries who are watching in. Thank you so much, Heather Kitson. I'm not sure if she is in the States yet, but the last I knew that she was over in Germany. So I want to say thank you so much for tuning into the show on today. Wow, we have a great audience, and I am truly enjoying just being at your feet. Now, you talked about sharing from other communities and tables. One of the tables, or I should say the main table that I'm at, that I don't see us, is at the disability table. As someone who has layered disabilities and a very visible one, and I do appreciate it. Most people say, the lady in the wheelchair that likes purple, but you described me as the bald lady. So whatever one you choose to use, people will say, "Oh, yep, I know her. I know her." And you had an opportunity to come on the campus of Disability Advocates of Kent County, which is in the Special Olympics Michigan building. It's 127,000 square feet. I think that everybody should come and do the walkthrough. I do. And how do we get more engaged in, nonprofits like Disability Advocates of Kent County, and having those conversations? Because our children, the phone calls that I receive, from parents that have these difficult times because their children are in, the public schools, and they do have disabilities, and how they're being treated. And of course, they want somebody that looks like them to come and be there for them. And those are one of the things that I think I like most about what it is that I do, that I don't talk about a lot. But just being there and walking the parents through, how do we get more involved, or how can you help me to get more people involved to come through, see the services that are on the campus, come through Disability Advocates of Kent County?
Kim, I don't have a magic wand. I think it's just the linking up with other persons, other organizations, talking about it. For an example, that I sit on the board of the NAACP as third vice president. I'm also involved with I chair a committee with Grand Rapids housing. My point being, just continue to connect with each other. When I'm at the NAACP, I don't necessarily talk about advocates for special needs, but that's something I need to be talking about. It's something that is very important. As we sit at other tables, we need to bring these areas up to talk about. Am I making sense to you?
Oh, absolutely. And I don't mean to, catch you off guard like that, or put you
No, not at all.
in that respect.
Everything happens because things happen because we bring things up. If we never bring up, if we never brought up the fact that we don't have Black representation in some area, well, it goes unnoticed, it goes undone. But once we make an effort to say that, okay, this is what we're going to do, it's going to be the topic, then the word gets out there. And you're right, there are so many people that have children that are in crises, and they don't know where to go. So I think that
our biggest thing, when we look at, when they come to the NAACP because they have a court case,
right.
their child got shot, or they were accused of something, or whatever happens, when it all boils down to, we find out that this son, this daughter, this mother, this father has a disability that
Yes.
nobody was paying attention to. And
Right.
they went, let's say, for instance, they were having a moment because they are bipolar, and they were in a manic state. And instead of saying, okay, we need somebody who's trained on how to talk someone off the ledge, that's considered a neuro disability.
And it gets back again, it gets back to volunteering. We have organizations in our community that address some of these issues, but because they don't always look like us, and we don't always get that attention that we truly need. And sometimes we don't take that opportunity because they don't look like us. So I think it has to be a combination of having people that look like us in the areas that you support, Kim, that I support, who can relate. When I say relate, just walking into a room and seeing a person that looks like me many times will make a difference in how
I
we.
mean, so sure, I can just roll up and like, hey, how you doing?
But Kim, you're it's more than just Kim. It's more, and you're busy. You're 100%. But there are other people that of us that need to be doing exactly what you're doing, exactly what you're doing. So again, I think the solution is getting people involved so that they can go out and help get other people to become involved. I think that's one of the ways that we get things done.
Well, it's just sad because I am so inundated with, can you help me? Because this is what happened. And I just sit back and I say, Lord, somebody else needs to come and say,
Mhm.
I want to do this. I want to have a heart for it because our communities,
Needs to help badly. Needs to
it
help
makes me
badly.
cry. It really does. It makes me cry because I have, some ladies who have 3 and 4 children. Some of them have 5 or 6, and 3 of them have autism.
Mhm.
Now, are they all being diagnosed correctly? How do you have 3 children that are autistic? One lady, I think she has 6 children, and she told me what each one of them had. And there was one, I said, I don't think there's anything wrong with this one, but it's like, they all had something. So he had to have something too. I go to the school board and I find out that they've done every kind of testing and that he's fine. He had no disability. That what was his disability was that he was living in a home where everybody had something but him. And so that was an interesting case to
Mhm.
have to deal with. What do you do when you're the only one who doesn't have one and
Mhm.
trying to navigate? But because he was always navigating in the disability, it put him at a disadvantage.
Okay, Kim, I'm gonna suggest a strategy that you and I perhaps should get together to pull
Mhm.
together. There are some other vocal people in our community besides the two of us.
Yes.
Why don't we see if we can form some type of coalition, so that we can perhaps get other parents or citizens in our community involved.
That sounds good to me.
Let's do it, girl. Let's do it. Because
Because
I hear some of the same stories from time to time. Not as much as, perhaps not as much as you, but I think we can make a difference. There, like I said, there are organizations in our community that I think addresses those types of problems. But I think it makes a difference. If we're talking about Black children, it's important that parents see Black people there working with Black children.
yeah.
And I think that is one of, I think we can start at that point. I really, really do. Because it's an issue that I have not been involved in. Um, Certainly, it's one that is important to our community because these are our leaders, and so many things happen right now in our community and other communities around the country where it has to do with it's a mental health issue. Uh,
Hmm.
and it's not, if it's not a mental health issue, it perhaps is an issue where a family needs some type of assistance. in that area. So I think we have to take the mantle we have to take the challenge upon ourselves to make the difference. And that's one of the things that I've truly tried to do um, uh, in terms of my being involved in our community. If it's not being done, let's do it.
Absolutely. Because I think, there is a dis at the root of a lot of our disparity. Even if you say disparity, dis is at the beginning of that.
Mhm.
There are 1,683 words that begin with the prefix dis.
Mhm.
We can find ourselves in, disadvantaged, disrespected.
I would like to just got a shout out to Graha. That's Vanessa Green's program.
Yes.
And it's a wonderful, wonderful program. And it is reaching out to so many areas in our community, addressing issues that affect people of color. And we might even want to start there in terms of what is being done in that area, because we don't want to reinvent the wheel, but it's an opportunity for us to start. And I know that my Delta sisters, Delta Sigma Theta sorority, is involved in a lot of these issues. And I don't know if they're particularly working with this particular one, but it's certainly an area that we can explore to find out who is working out there in these areas.
Well,
So Kim, looks
now,
like you and I are going to be tied together for a while.
oh yeah, been waiting for my turn, my turn. So Dave is not here. He is on another assignment, and he just sent me a text saying that my husband is still watching over us. He's at this event, and 2 or 3 years ago, my husband and I did this photo shoot for. It was accommodation for Experience GR and for Frederick Meyer Garden.
Okay.
So there's these pictures that are salted all over the
I
website.
did serve, actually I served on the board of Frederick Meyer Garden. This was years and years ago.
Oh, wow. She's like, now what have you not done?
Oh,
See,
it was a learning experience. Really was a learning experience for me.
So this is for Experience. So Experience GR is using the picture, and then there's a picture of, it says group tour sales, and there's like 3 pictures of Frederick Meyer Garden, and you see me in my chair with my husband behind me, us dressed in purple, of course. Oh, I appreciate that. That I tell you, it behooves you to behave and not get caught on the internet, because it does not die. It is always there. If somebody downloads it, saves it, sends it to somebody else, you'll never be able to scrub it and get rid of it, because there's, and can y'all see the picture? There it is. Ah,
Oh, nice, Kim. I can see it.
it's like, look at us.
I had pictures taken at Meyer Gardens with my godson and his family, Michael Maury. I did not have pictures of him and his family, so we hired a photographer, and we decided that we would go to Meyer Gardens and have our pictures taken. So we walked all over we didn't walk all over the garden, but we walked over a large portion of the garden. That was maybe about 5 years ago. And it was some beautiful pictures. So I have pictures of my godson and his family. And it was just a memorable day at the Meyer Garden.
I can only imagine that was a long, long photo shoot. And we did photos as well as video.
Okay.
And And so, Experience GR, they were taking pictures for what they needed for their tourism to put on their website, to put in their books. And then Frederick Meyer Garden, they were doing their pictures to put into all of their stuff. Plus, they were doing video. Because if you go now into the visitor center, they have like this 10-15 minute video, and you'll see my husband and I in there making all these cameo appearances, all over. So we trekked a great way around Frederick Meyer Garden, and we just took pictures and did video in all of these different areas, and just to see that they're like, oh my gosh, what? They're still floating around.
Oh wow.
And they're still using them.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Well, those are, when people say, well, what is a systemic advocate? Those are some of the things that you do, is that you show up and you say, okay, you don't have pictures, number one, of persons of color, persons that have visible disabilities. They need to be included so that that we are an inclusive community.
Yes.
So there's a lot of things, a lot of picture taking that I've done that you can see, or you can go online and just say, hey, you know what? We are inclusive. We are.
And we can, but I think we can be more inclusive.
Oh, absolutely.
I think we certainly can be more inclusive. When I look at ads now on TV or in the paper, I'm looking to see if we're there. And I'm constantly doing this, like ads on TV now, they'll have, I was looking at something last night and going like, okay, now why am I not there? I buy that product. Why am I not there? I mean, I don't see me. And of course, that's a whole nother subject.
It is.
That we could go into.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
One of the things that I would hope that that the NAACP is doing right now, that I am so very involved with, is that we're working with environmental justice, and we're looking at a cleaner environment, particularly for 49507.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because people don't realize how important that is. Just things that are in 49507 that are not in other parts of our community. And we never notice it. Like, for an example, there are not a lot of trees in certain areas in 49507. And when we started working on this with the city, it was like they were giving our staff was giving a report at one of our board meetings, and I'm going like, why are they planting trees? Because where I live on the Northeast, and right in my area, you've got too many trees in my opinion. But when I started realizing and looking around, I realized that in certain areas in 49507, there are no trees. So that's one of the issues that we're looking at. We're looking at how we can be safer, things that we can do with the environment that will make 49507 in particular more safe. Certainly, we're looking at our upcoming election. We're working very, very hard in terms of getting the vote out. We are now taking, and we have been for some time, we're taking applications at our office by appointment for those people that have complaints that they wish to file a complaint. They can call the NAACP office and make an appointment, and we'll be happy to, set up an appointment for you to come, and we can take your complaint. We've been very instrumental in working on this surveillance policy with the Grand Rapids Housing Commission, and hopefully soon we will be able to work some type of policy out with policy for them. The work of the NAACP is going on strong. I can't say enough about our president and what he is doing and his leadership in Grand Rapids. I think that's very important. Um, Actually, I'm not a member on the. I'm not a member of the. I am a member of the YWCA. However, I don't hold any particular office, but I certainly support what the YWCA does, and I am active with the Y. And so whenever there's something going on, I get a call or I'll get a text, to come and um, that is that's an organization that does a lot of work in our community that people don't necessarily know about. It's an organization that I would hope that more women of color will become involved with. They do tremendous work in our community.
They do. We want to say thank you so much for Allison Gilliam tuning in. She works at the Gift of Life in Ann Arbor.
Okay,
So thank you
okay.
so much, Allison, for tuning in. We appreciate you. We did a 6-week series on the Gift of Life on how to donate organs and tissue. And Miss D. Coates just checked in. She said, good evening, all the way from Detroit, Michigan.
Oh wow.
So thank you so much.
Kim, I did meet at the touring of your building. I did meet the mother of a young man who
Yes,
donated organs.
yes, yes.
Yes, and I have passed some of that information on to some of my friends in terms of procedure and some of the things that you had shared with me that day, and also I had a brief period that I spoke with the mother, and I have been able to share some of those things with some of my friends in terms of what happens. And you know I think the mother shared the particular thing she shared was her son, how he had passed away, and how the organs were preserved for a period of time until they were used.
Yeah. I am excited. I am coming up on my 1 year. And after your 1 year, you're able to meet those who are recipients. And so there are 2 people who received their sight. They were blind, and his surgery was that Saturday, April 29th. And by that Monday or Tuesday, there were 2 people who received their sight. And so I'm excited to be able to meet them.
Oh, that is so wonderful. That is so wonderful.
I'm excited that I said, wow, I have been so busy and it hasn't even been a year yet. And, but it's coming up pretty soon. It is now, wow, 4:53. Can you believe it? The
Oh,
hour
wow.
went by so quickly. Most people say, I don't know that I can talk that much. What are we going to do? It goes by so quickly. And so I want to say thank you. If you are watching on GRTV, thank you so much for tuning in. And you will probably see this repeated 2 more times because it comes on Monday, Tuesday, and on a Thursday is the time that this will repeat. So today is Tuesday, March 19th. And our guest today was Miss Ellen James, who has been a civil servant and still continues at 81 years young, looking fantastic. She is a mature Black woman with glasses, and she has curly hair, and it is salted. It's black and white salted, and she has the biggest smile that you want to see. And she has on a jacket and a pretty blouse up underneath her jacket. And your host, as you know, is Dr. Kimberly. I have my glasses. I'm lifting up my glasses, and I do have on my long eyelashes to compensate for not having hair. and the glitter on them does match my leopard print that I have on today. So we want to say thank you so much for tuning into Rolling on the Road. Dave, as you know, is on another assignment and with Experience GR. And as you saw the picture that they just put up with my husband and I, where we did the photo shoot for Experience GR and for Frederick Meyer Garden. And Dee says, wow, 81, awesome. Yeah, and Miss D is a busy bee as well. Um, are there any, I don't want to say final words, but just a couple of words of wisdom until you come back on the show again?
Oh wow, I'm invited back. Well, certainly. Thank you thank you so much, Kim. I really we had talked about this some time back, and I just kind of said okay, and never said another word about it. But thank you for having me on the show today. Um, I think that there's so many things in our community that we still need to do as a people, and I would just encourage. I'm always encouraging and challenging um, our community to become involved. Become involved. I got a call today from someone who was upset with someone at the city. Something went on at the city. And this person, I encourage this person to follow through on what they wanted to do, how they wanted to bring their issue forward. And I would just say to our community in particular that you need to be involved in what's going on in the community. Don't sit back and let somebody else do it for you. There are a lot of people that complain about a lot of things, but if you do not become involved and lift your voice and share your ideas, nothing will change. So my encouragement to you is to speak up and become involved in what goes on in your community.
I
So
love it. I love it. I love it. So there you have it. You got to stand up in your community. And I would say our really big takeaway from Miss Ellen on today is not to be afraid. Here she is, 81 years young, and she is going to Australia in October, and she is still out on the battlefield. Don't let her outwork us, y'all. Don't let her outwork us. Let us come alongside and do her just as Miriam and Aaron did. Hold up her arms, because there are days where she gets tired, and it's our responsibility to come along and hold her arms up to make sure that this work continues. It cannot die. It cannot die. And so it's our responsibility to be there at the feet, to catch the oil, and to be willing to take that mantle on and not be afraid. So until next week, we say be safe, and COVID is still real. So please make sure you take care of yourselves and get your flu shot. They are still giving them. And please, you can get a COVID shot at the same time. Keep yourself safe. We appreciate you for tuning in all over the country, and we'll see you again on next week. Be well.